Hi, my name is Sam Price, the Crypto Lifer, and every single Friday I give you a macro technical analysis video that goes over Bitcoin, gold, silver, the S&P futures, the NASDAQ, the dollar index, Bitcoin dominance, Tether dominance, and more, even oil. We're going to break it down for you right now, so jump on in and let's get it in. This is so you can see a big picture of the markets and not just get stuck on focusing on the small time frame. So let's take a look. The first thing I see is the 4-hour for Bitcoin looks juicy. When the 21 curves like this and you see a golden cross coming, I see a big move coming for Bitcoin. Looks like Bitcoin's going to continue to rip here to the upside. So Bitcoin looks very, very bullish to me. Looks like we're going to make a pretty big move into today, further to the upside. I could be wrong, but right now Bitcoin looks good just right off the bat. And when you see this, this probably already will have played out. It will be about 4 hours from now. We should have pumped by then. So we'll see how that pans out. Let's delete everything. Let's take a look at the monthly and show you what's happening on the bigger picture for Bitcoin. So remember, the one thing that I want to talk about is this pattern and this idea here. So BTC, USDT on Binance. So the first thing is, I've seen this. I call it a half a cup of handle or an ascending cup. And you have this uptrending cup, and then you have a flag. I've seen this. Solana did this when Solana was really hot. When there's a lot of price, when a lot of people want an asset and it just can't seem to bear out, it'll do this, and then it will continue. This thing could rip. You go to 181,000 by July of 2028. It's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight, but it says in a year and a half, you could definitely see an all-time high for Bitcoin. So that's the first thing I want to show you, that this looks bullish on the bigger idea. Then you pull a Fibonacci, and you'll see the Fibonacci right there comes back down to the 786 and the 618. Another crazy thing that I want to show you, all right, that I can get done pretty fast, is if we look at the daily, and we look at when this actually had its initial bottom here, okay? It made this very strange cup and handle thing, and this was the bottom right here. This is exactly what happened. And so I grabbed this bars pattern, all right? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab it and I'm gonna move it to where we are today, all right? So just bear with me for a split second. And this is what's called fractal magic. I do this a lot on the channel. We used to do it a lot more. It's exciting and it's interesting. So this is the fractal that we're seeing, and we're going to bring this over, right? And we're going to get there eventually. It takes time to do this because look at all the coordination that it takes, right? And then we're going to align this up with what we're seeing now. And you're going to see how uncannily, strangely, and oddly similar it is. Number one, there's a fast move in the gap of the VRVP, which was exactly the same thing that happened there on that when we hit 15K, 15.8 area, right? And we want to adjust that down. And then we move this over just slightly. I mean, you can see it's basically a match. That line, that line, that line, this up, that uptrend. It's insane how much this really kind of matches. And it makes me wonder, like, what's going on here? Like, did they use an algorithm to catch people off guard and they just ran the same algo? It's going to be slightly different here or there, but for the most part, I mean, this thing is spot on. It really is. Like, so that tells me that there's a chance we start to break out here and we get a pump to the upside for Bitcoin. And it's exactly how we bottomed before. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but I just want to show you something that you may not have thought about. When we go to the weekly is also showing a very strong support and resistance here. You have resistance that became support right there at 66,000, right? And we've bounced off it very nicely, 65.5, 65.8. And now we're in a beautiful double bottom on the weekly. I mean, that is a double bottom. It's a W. W's break out 68% of the time, and that would push you. And then you could get through the gap right here. You would pump all the way to 87.6. So I am bullish for Bitcoin breaking out. I have a monthly trade open on the monthly. I've talked about it. I've been telling everyone that I believe that we've bottomed here for BTC. The rest of the world seems to be a little off. They're not paying attention, but I truly believe that we have bottomed here. And yeah. And so you could make a monthly trade here with a stop below here. Even now is a possible massive breakout because you got your tweezer bottom. And then again, if April closes like this, we're going to be in good shape. And then the last thing is this swings up while this overall swings down, and that's hidden bullish divergence. Then you pull the Fibonacci, right, from this impulse, which is this wick here, which is the beginning. You know, you use the fib that starts the hidden bullish divergence, wick to wick. And lo and behold, you bounce up to 786, which is a known retracement area for Bitcoin after a pump. So that's telling me that we you know, there's like the indicators are telling me there's like a 90% chance we bottom. And then the fear and greed hit 5 twice, which I've only seen us do. We've hit the bottom. And we've been in fear and greed below like 17, between 5 and 16 now for like, I don't know, 2 months. That's the most sustained fear I've seen in a long time. And just when you sustain greed, you should be getting out. When you sustain fear, and again, I'm not a financial advisor, but that's when I start buying more and more and more Bitcoin. Let me move myself over just so you can see price action there, how it's supposed to be, just like that. So that's Bitcoin in a bit of a nutshell. The smaller time frames will teach us a lot. We're watching the daily. We want to see the daily kind of break out of this little flag. And really, it comes down to the 4-hour time frame right now. The 4-hour to me is inside of a beautiful little uptrending bull flag. It's above the 200 on the 21-day moving average. And whenever I've seen this, we've had a move. I can almost feel like it's breaking out here out of a rising wedge that could break out parabolic. If that does go where it's going to go, it's going to take us somewhere to 76,000. Now, I'm not bullish. I'm not, this story isn't a great story for the bulls unless the daily can close above this $75,000, $76,000 level. I'll show you too on the daily too. You got to close above these two tweezer tops. If you don't close above this, it's a right shoulder, it's a failed rally, and it's a fake out. But if we close above this, we're going to get a continuation, baby, to the upside, and there's a good chance that the bears are in control. The bulls are in control, and the bears are getting swiped. So that's Bitcoin. All right, first thing I want to show you. Then total market cap of all of cryptocurrencies. It's going to be doing the exact same thing. Really nothing to say. It's going to follow Bitcoin because the dominance is big, but this will propel altcoins to start to pump. But the analysis I just did is exactly the same. The numbers just changed. 2.56 trillion up to 2.56 to 2.65. And then when these get tight, which they have on the 22, you tend to pump up to the 200. Then this will get tight. It will get here. You'll pump up to the 200. So it is looking pretty bullish for me so far. What could change it is, just like Bitcoin, like you stay inside this turns into some type of bear flag, you go sideways, and we never break that high that I told you about Bitcoin, which is also 255 there, 256. We can't bid above this $256 billion. We can't get above that. We can go side. We will hit it as resistance. We'll come back down. The flag will fill out, and then we could dump all the way to 1.63. So crucial we break through this high at 2.56, and for Bitcoin too as well, at about, $75,000 BTC. Total 3 is the entire market cap of all of the altcoins. It's going to follow Bitcoin, as you can clearly see. If Bitcoin gets a rip, Solana's going to pump, AVAX, all these other coins are going to follow through. Not everything's going to rip, and then some smaller cap coins, and then things are going to move. So this looks pretty interesting to me. Like there could be a pump even into the weekend today, and there's that cup and handle on Total 3. Total 3 is the entire market cap of all the altcoins, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, just so you know. Now you want to take a look at Bitcoin dominance. Is money flowing into Bitcoin, out of Bitcoin? What's going on? And it looks like it's flowing in to Bitcoin right now. And we actually just we just broke this trend line that you see me. And you can almost say, were you in a falling wedge that fell out, got back inside, or you could almost connect it here, but it looks like a descending triangle that got faked out. I like this idea that you kind of have this going, you pump back out. And as Bitcoin's hard, everyone's going to jump on in. It should push Bitcoin dominance further to the upside. Let's delete everything and look at it fresh, just so I can redo my ideas and my lines here. I mean, if you look at it, it's pretty interesting. It almost looks like it could be making a bull flag. So I feel like this was the trend line. You had it going pretty nicely. You lost it. You got back inside. Then you went sideways. I did see this shoulder had a right shoulder, which could be good for the altcoins. But I don't know. It's telling me that we're going to get a move. The weekly seems strong. Lack of bearish divergence on the MACD, that's going to moon. And so I see Bitcoin dominance headed up at least to 62.1 and then all the way up to 6.5. But right now I'm calling a move. When we come back next week, I believe Bitcoin will have gone through that $75,000 area and Bitcoin dominance will be up. I could be wrong. It could turn over and dump on us. But I'm making a pretty stern call here that we're going to go up based on what I'm looking at and my intuition there. So when we look at Tether dominance, it was supposed to look beautiful, make a flag, and continue to pump. And you can see it's kind of sideways now. And it's not looking absolutely amazing. I'm going to get rid of this. We don't need that sidebar. What I want to see is this become an M pattern and dump. So that looks like an M. M's can dump. Then it could make a right shoulder here and dump even more. Sayonara. If you get a bounce and start to go sideways, you're going to pump. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I can teach you what to watch for. If this goes sideways, that's likely you're going to pump. If this falls out the channel, you're spot on. I am going to plant a seed that it's going down, and that's kind of the road that I'm on. That's the stance that I'm taking. That Tether dominance will take a move to the downside. Let's take a look at DXY. The DXY, why? Because we have to do the dollar index. The dollar's been struggling, and it just, you see that they're going to take the money in oil for the Strait of Hormuz, which is denouncing the petrodollar immediately. That actually takes money away from the dollar and brings it back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin ripping today too with the dollar slumping. Very good for Bitcoin. Below the 200 moving average after cat ears. And cat ears did play out. You had cat ears here. You played them out to the downside. This looks like tightness and a continuation, stopping here first before you continue lower. But I see DXY dropping, which is very, very good for altcoins and Bitcoin. Very, very good. So that's that. I love that right there. It really puts things into perspective. Absolutely beautiful. Let's take a look at our baby gold. It was looking somewhat bullish the last time I took a look at it, and I liked it on the smaller time frames. On the 1 week, I see it bouncing, and I see it consolidating on the 1 week. I see it taking some time to do this, but I see it consolidating on the 1 week and then continuing further. And then we're going to get a rip up to like 7,647. This is what I see happening, and I believe it will. They're going to continue to print money. The dollar's dropping. How is the gold not going to continue to go to the upside? So, and I'll give you, a smaller trade on gold if you want to. If you look at like the 1 hour, you can see gold right now is in a flag very similar to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's looking bullish. Gold's looking bullish. And you can tell why. The dollar is dropping, which is giving both of those an edge right now. So I see this making a move and getting a nice little breakout here. Gold, baby, gold, right? It does have to get above that resistance, but so far so good. And that takes it to that gap right there to $5,030 an ounce. So I see gold making a move to the upside. When I look at silver, I see something similar to silver. It's in the same ascending triangle. It even looks a little more aggressive. But silver looks like it's about to make a monster move to the upside as well. So I'm looking for silver to go up and make some gains, all the way somewhere to 8522. So silver looks good to me. Watch it get tight. I think, today's Friday. It's interesting purchasing metals on a Friday. If the dollar tends to slump throughout the weekend, you wake up gapped up on Monday, and that looks like it's going to happen. And it just tells me that silver is going to continue to pump. I'd pay attention to silver. It looks even more bullish than gold. And that target for silver is 85.22. 85.22 for some silver over here. Everyone likes their silver, all right? So now that we did the precious metals, I think we should get into oil, and then we'll do the S&P futures, and we'll also do the NASDAQ futures, right? So let's take a look at US oil, which is that crude, baby, that crude oil. And let's take a look what's happening right now for US oil. So remember correctly, before oil broke out around $60 a barrel, I started putting out a chart saying it looks like it's going to rip. And I even said it's going to rip, looks like to 110 or 120 or something. And it did that exactly. We were able to, nail that oil trade. Then it went sideways, and I got into oil here. It looked like it was going to pump, if you remember. And then it did this crazy pump out of nowhere and came back down. I didn't like it. I got out of break even. It made me think something's weird. And then literally the next day, they dumped oil. And I was like, I'm happy I wasn't in that trade. Then I kind of tracked it, and I stayed in this bigger idea. And they ripped it again, but I didn't touch it because it was so volatile due to news. And now it's back inside the pattern yet again. If the dollar index continues to struggle, let's look at this on the daily. So if the dollar index continues to struggle, it is good for oil. At the same time, if you don't, oil spiked because of like mass panic really over the Strait of Hormuz. If this doesn't resolve itself, you know what I mean? Oil will go back up in price. So we're still watching, and anything could happen. And nobody knows exactly for sure. And we are waiting on headlines and movements for the rest of the world. We don't know really what they're going to do. Oil could easily rip or dip. It's hard to tell. It is getting oversold, and it looks interesting to me. We are at the, waiting on headlines a lot. But the TA, 21-day moving average looks okay. Like you could get a continuation. 4-hour looks like it's more of a head and shoulder pattern that wants to come down. You see that? So I'd watch your 4-hour. To me, it looks like we're going to struggle with oil somewhat sideways. And I wouldn't be surprised if we did one of these. We go sideways. They do some headlines. They get a pump, and then that's when we get the next dump again. And you might get some type of cat ears here on oil. So watch oil. I'm leaning a little more bearish, but I could see a spike first before the move down for oil. Last but not least, second to last but not least, let's take a look at the S&P futures, which I was overly bullish on last week. And I told you when we get here next week, expect us to be higher. I did it again. Well, I did it again. I called the bottom of the S&P. The whole world said we're going lower, said stocks have hit highs. This is the end. And I said, no, that doesn't make any sense. I said they're injecting so much money from the Fed, and I kept telling that on my channel. And I kept talking about the Fed injecting money. I said this doesn't make any sense. I see this going higher. I've been doing this for so long. I got an instinct for it, and I could see the S&P going higher. The only thing now I see is the S&P coming up here, and then it's likely going to retrace, and it's going to make this flag. So a couple more pumpage. By the time next week, it's going to be, let's see, where's the next Friday? By the Friday, the 17th, right? I say we're on our way to getting rejected at the top of the channel by Friday the 17th. And then we probably come back down, consolidate, and then a bigger move comes in July, which is weird, but it says there's going to be a bigger move in July. And now, the last but not least, we'll take a look at the NASDAQ, the nasty NAS. It's the S&P. They go together. If they're going to print money, people are going to buy the stocks. Insiders are going to get access to the money. They're going to buy stocks with it. They're also injecting money into the markets, into the repo market. And they're onto the clip of like what, 40 billion a month right now. The Fed is injecting money into the market. So just like I said before, I see this continuing next week, and then that's when we're going to get the pullback. Next Friday looks like when we might actually top out on the 17th. Everyone, that is my top-down analysis. I do it every single week, every single Friday. I do it after the show. It's not easy for me. I want to get out of my seat. I've been here a long time, but I love giving you the feedback, and it's good for me too. I see the markets in a bigger perspective, and it helps me see things that I may not have seen before. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. You can find out when I post my next video. Remember, if you came to the channel, then you're already doing the right thing. Crypto is life.